It was sacred land. The hills and the waterfalls and the volcanoes or the mountains, the grass, the trees, it was all sacred.
Long before there were churches or pyramids, there was sacred space. A place for dialogue between man and the divine. For more than 10,000 years, the landscapes that link North and Central America have sheltered and inspired people.
There is sacredness everywhere that is so intriguing and so mystical and so beautiful.
As civilizations grew, people adapted these sacred spaces with their own hands, whether for the worship of Tlaloc or St. Mark.
The pre-Hispanic people had wonderful pyramids and temples and so on, upon which the Spanish built churches. So the sacredness of that space continued to be sacred.
Dallas photographer Carolyn Brown was attracted to these sacred spaces and made more than 20,000 photographs across Mexico, Guatemala, and the southwestern United States.
Which is probably the most important and concerted attempt to document the sacred in Central America ever made by anyone. And the fact that one photographer with one sensibility over a discrete period of time with a kind of assignment in her mind, which is to find something that's invisible, the sacred, in architecture and nature, is something that was Carolyn's assignment, and she took it on with gusto.
And of course, when it's something you just want to do, no one tells you to do it or you're not being paid for it, then you do it with your heart and with your soul.
Scholars from Southern Methodist University's Institute for the Study of Earth and Man guided Carolyn and the curator, art historian Rick Bertel.
You're going to places that are inflected by man in natural forms and where people come and gather out of doors in the main, in nature, to be filled with the sacred. So what we decided to do was to make an exhibition in what amounted to the sacred space itself, to make a connection between ceremonial architecture and the most important ceremonial architecture in Dallas, which is Fair Park, and to make a link between walking down that esplanade and seeing the fountains and water and going into the axial space and seeing something that was decorated with painting and sculpture.
Well, it's a ceremonial space. The State Fair every year, that's a big ceremony. And in a way, it's as religious, it has a religious feeling to it.
Inside the Hall of State, architect Gary Cunningham has designed a series of scaffolds to display the massive photographs against the background of the Hall of State's own beauty.
I hope that people will be touched by the images. I consider the photograph as simply a medium that will bring people together with whatever it is about the beauty or the mystery of each place. So I hope that they will be touched. I know that the people that come from these places that have lived there and know them in a way that goes beyond any way I could ever know them will be touched. And that makes me very happy. I also hope that people who've never been to these places will be touched enough that they will want to go and see them.
The visitor to sacred space becomes a pilgrim on a journey through landscape and architecture, from the distant past to a timeless present, where man approaches in awe the divine.
Sacred Space is a project that we've always believed in Dallas as a way, particularly in sort of post-NAFTA Dallas, in a way of forging as many links as possible between us and where we are in this larger cultural landscape in which we sit. Given the fact that the fastest growing part of our population is the Hispanic and principally Mexican part of our population, given the fact that we now have free trade with Mexico, given the fact that one of our Six Flags was Mexico and another of our Six Flags was Spain, so we're linked twice to this much larger cultural landscape, and so why not celebrate it? Why not celebrate it through an exhibition that sort of serves to indicate that there is an extraordinary cultural depth to that landscape, not just economic associations and people associations, but cultural associations.
Despierta, Madre, despierta, mira que amaneció, mira el sol.